The Best Food in Every State Part 2. We continue with some of the foods that made the states great. Utah, Jell-O. Utah, says history, is home to more than 2 million Mormons, and it's their love of the famous food Jell-O that pushes this wiggly, jiggly dessert to the top of Utah's favorites list. After all, residents of Utah eat more Jell-O per capita than anywhere else in the country. Thrillist took a look at why Jell-O is so popular among the Mormon community and says it has to do with the marketing campaigns of the 1980s. Jell-O was the family dessert that just happened to be perfect for large gatherings, like church functions. And the rest is, as they say, history. Texas, queso. Who doesn't love the famous food queso? It's one of those appetizers that you could easily make a whole meal out of if they just keep it coming. And no state takes its queso more seriously than Texas, where they boast of first mixing up some chili con queso. Eater says that as soon as processed American cheese was invented in the early 20th century, it was used for the suey, gooey dish of goodness that Velveeta and Rotel teamed up to make into an art form. While some have argued over which regional variation is the best, there's one standpoint that's clear: don't mess with Texas. Tennessee, Memphis-style barbecue. Famous American barbecue, says the Smithsonian, evolved into separate styles from Caribbean roots. Those styles include the Memphis version, which features a sweet, tomato-based sauce that developed in part because of the readily available ingredients, including molasses, that were traded along the Mississippi River. Memphis is also where barbecue diverged from being something strictly pork-related into using other tasty meat products as well, to make something that's as uniquely Tennessean as the Grand Ole Opry. South Dakota, fry bread. The state bread of South Dakota is fry bread, and while it's a delicious famous food and versatile option that's often used to replace tortillas in some dishes, it's probably the most controversial food on our list. Why? According to the Argus Leader, fry bread still represents a dark chapter in American history. When Native Americans were forced onto reservations in the late 19th century, they were given rations that included salt, lard, powdered milk, and flour. That was used to make fry bread, and it's a reminder of terrible times. South Dakota officially embraced it as a way to share cultural touchstones, but it's still debated. South Carolina, boiled peanuts. Boiled peanuts seem like a weird famous food at first glance. After all, why would you want to boil a nut? But according to Southern Living, they've been around since before the Civil War but didn't become super popular until South Carolina newspapers started advertising them as the snack of anyone who was someone in Southern society. That was around the start of the 20th century, and since then, they've become a snacking staple, and we wouldn't have it any other way. Rhode Island, coffee milk. Coffee milk, a famous food that is a distinctly Rhode Island thing, and it's exactly what it sounds like, milk flavored with a coffee syrup, including brands like Autocrat, Eclipse, or Coffee Time. The different brands are slightly different, but they all make your milk taste just like a cold coffee drink, and how that hasn't caught on everywhere, we'll never know. It's not just a grown-up thing, either. Instead of growing up with Nestlé's chocolate milk or strawberry quick, WGBH says it's coffee milk all the way for Rhode Islanders. Pennsylvania, Philly cheesesteak. Hot beef. Melted cheese. On the roll. It's seriously that simple and that good, and Pennsylvania has been the home of the truly famous Philly cheesesteak since it was invented by a hot dog vendor in the 1930s. Whether you like it with or without, neither way is wrong. Actually, either is oh so right. If you liked this video, hit that like button and subscribe.